Welcome back to yet another explanation of yet another Hearts card. Today we'll be talking about the Ten of Hearts. The Ten of Hearts finds itself on the Jupiter line in the Mars column, and that already gives you an idea of the energy driving the Ten of Hearts. Jupiter expands, Jupiter grows everything that it touches, and under the influence of Mars, it does that quite dynamically and forcefully. So, through the initiation steps 8 and 9, power in love and the attainment of selflessness, the Ten of Hearts people have reached a level of independence and individuality in human relationships. They know that all obstacles can be overcome through love, but they are or should be less personally involved than those at the less developed levels. They have more chance of success in pursuing their goals because they're not torn to pieces by their reactions to the treatment they receive from others. Tens are manifestors. Tens are very popular people. So the Ten of Hearts is a card of popularity with people. Tens of Hearts people often gather or have 10 hearts in their circle of friends. So 10 people around them that are very, very close to them. But Ten of Hearts people are also stage personalities and they love the limelight. But they have to learn at the same time that it's more about letting others shine, helping them shine, rather than taking all the credit themselves. It is written that those who live positively, for those who live positively, there's no denial of warmth in relationships or emotional satisfaction for themselves. They can love and be loved in safety. On the negative side, there is such a drive for power and recognition that all personal love is lost in conflict, and that the end result is a barrier of coldness and a lonely life. This comes from the Sacred Symbols of the Ancients book by Edith Randall and Florence Campbell. So they are quite, well, not critical of the Ten of Hearts, but they warn against the Ten of Hearts becoming too powerful and being too driven to get all the recognition themselves. Like the 8 from which our power is derived, and remember, we'll get to that in a second, we have an 8 of Spades in Venus, very powerful card, and that also like hints at the emotional power that is available to the Ten of Hearts birth card. We can either operate at the level of the mundane or the spiritual, or we can strike a balance between the two and release our initiative, 10, for creation, progress, and pioneering in the areas that offer the best opportunities for individual growth. When this is achieved, recognition and achievement follow as a natural consequence. 10 is the higher octave of 1. So here with the 10, it is that the 1 has placed itself in front of the 0. Previously, it was the other way around, the 0 and then the 1. And now through that evolutionary process, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, man has placed himself in front of God. And that obviously comes with a certain, or, well, you call it certain, with a decent amount of responsibility, because that power cannot be or should not be abused. Otherwise, the Ten of Hearts awaits a rather cold and lonely life. You know, sort of, I'm the best, I'm shining, I'm in the limelight, I'm popular with the people, I've got the power. But here it's about striking a balance. You know, sort of, if you have the power, then share it with others, uplift others, bring others into the light. That's the call for the Ten of Hearts. And that is emphasized by the 10 of Diamonds in Mercury. So we have a very strong mind. We have a very strong value-driven mind. And once again, it's a 10. And the 10 is being reminded to not overstep the line and not take all the credit for all the power, the manifesting power that they do possess. So very strong, very solid mind. But once again, there's a call to keep a balance, to step back, not think exclusively in terms of money, because the 10 of Diamonds is the Jupiter card on the Jupiter column. So there's a lot of protection around it. But that 10 of diamonds has on the spiritual side a Queen of Clubs as its first karma card. So it should serve with knowledge, serve Queen with knowledge and intuition, that's clubs, rather than putting money or the material things in the center of their own universe, in the center of their creation. So here, once again, 10 of Hearts, very strong, very good about manifesting values, but again, always being reminded to expand that to a larger, wider value field than just purely money. Then we come to the Eight of Spades in Venus. Eight of Spades in Venus. We have the last suit, and which is very strong, the spade suit, and we have an 8, and the 8 is a power card. So we have a card that has very fixed ideas, strong ideas about how relationships should operate. And here, once again, we are reminded of the 10 of Diamonds and Mercury and the 10 of Hearts as a birth card. That always needs a compromise, that always needs a balance, that always needs stepping back and looking at one's own creations from a distance to check whether one isn't too strong, whether one isn't too forceful, and whether one isn't acting to actually one's own detriment. With the 2 10s and the 8, birth card, Mercury card, Venus card, very strong. So here, a card that is very stable, a card that is very solid, which is good for relationships on one way, but when it becomes too fixed, when it becomes too self-centered, which the 2 10s always are always inclined to, and the 8 to a lesser degree too, because the 8 is a card that is super reliable, also in relationships, not just personal relationships, but also business relationships, but can become a bit too fixed in its own and set in its own ways because of that. If you're stable, the risk and the downside is too much stability, too much rigidity, and that is not good in any kind of relationship, where it's always a little bit about compromise and taking responsibility. So the ability to respond, to be flexible, sort of reacting to the other person rather than saying, this is my point of view, this is how I want it, this is how it's going to be done. Well, you can try this in a relationship. I don't know how far you will get with that, dear 10 of Hearts. Then we move to 2 interesting cards, but they again reinforce what I was just saying about that 10 of Hearts. They're amplifying it, because now we have an Ace of Hearts and we have an Ace of Diamonds. Once again, be reminded, 1s, 5s, and 10s have a rather selfish vein, and they like to have things their way rather than sort of taking other people into account and into consideration. Now, 2 10s and 8, 2 aces, whoa, okay. So there's a lot of risk for being selfish. Yes, a lot of drive, determination, initiative, especially with that ace, with the Ace of Hearts in Mars, and then with that Ace of Diamonds in Jupiter. Excellent. I mean, this is what makes up that 10 of Hearts, and to a lesser degree also the 10 of Diamonds birth card, because they've got such strong cards in as their primary cards, Mercury, Venus, and Mars and Jupiter, that they find it often difficult in relationships because of their strength and the sheer power and the initiative they take and the creative power that they do possess. So here, with that Ace of Hearts in Mars, you can imagine how that person approaches relationships, the desire for love in Mars with that male energy. That's a lot to handle. So once again, the appeal to the 10 of Hearts, step back, be softer, be gentle, let other people shine. You don't have to stand in the limelight all the time. You don't have to take the initiative all the time. Yes, you desire love, but you can't be overly aggressive in order to accomplish that and reach what you really like to reach in terms of relationships, personal or professional. Then comes the Ace of Diamonds, which is the Neptune card on the Jupiter line. So Neptune, Jupiter conjunction. the expansion of Jupiter under the influence, the ethereal, not really handleable, but also healing influence, but sometimes confusing influence of Neptune. And as a Jupiter card, there's a desire to make money. So for the Ten of Hearts, it's actually about taking the initiative. As they expand, as they learn about values, which is what the Ace of Diamonds is all about. They have the desire for wealth, for being well. The Ace gives them all that drive and all that initiative, and that's how things grow for them. But that is just one aspect of it. Not all aspects, just one aspect. And it's a very important one, but it's also just one card. And if we look at the life sequence of the Ten of Hearts, let's say we've got 5 cards, but then again, there's 47 other cards that are energetically less masculine, less driven, less dominant. And that is, once again, a reminder for the Ten of Hearts, look, there's other stuff around you that you should also acquaint yourself with, because it's important to integrate those aspects into one's own life too. Let's see what is also said about here, that lovely Ace of Diamonds. Jupiter expands what it touches, and here it touches the seed of personal values. This placement offers incredible blessings in entrepreneurship, new ventures, and redefining what wealth means to you. You're someone who gets lucky when you follow your own path. Ace. When you trust the value of your own ideas. Ace. Even if they don't yet make sense to others. They can't make sense because you're the initiator. You haven't yet communicated that. That would take place under the 2, the 4, or the 6. But you're here at number 1. So you're taking the initiative. You are really like gunning for it. And certainly what you have what's the word? Thought up has not yet been communicated to others. Others don't know about your ideas yet. You don't just attract abundance, you cultivate it through authenticity. You stay authentic. That's always the risk when one starts initiating something, that one removes oneself from oneself. That you distance yourself from yourself, and that your authenticity doesn't take just a backseat, but is being compromised as you expand, as you develop into a newer version of yourself. That doesn't necessarily mean that's a better version. The more you align your success with your truth, the more the world opens up to support you. Once again, stay authentic, stay aligned to the truth, follow the straight and narrow, the path of love and light and understanding of wholesomeness, and the more support you get. Because if you become too self-centered, if you become too single-minded, then you lose the balance. And when you lose the balance, in this case, because you're single-minded, you lose the others. Then we come to Saturn. Saturn being our teacher. And here with the Queen of Diamonds, it teaches us, or teaches the Ten of Hearts, the discipline of grace. Leader, manager of resources, but she doesn't lead with control, but with composure. The Queen of Diamonds in Saturn reminds the Ten of Hearts that it mustn't be too generous, it mustn't be too, not luxurious, but it mustn't live too extravagantly. All queens have a motherly, caring, nurturing aspect. The Queen of Diamonds being very successful on the business card, which is in a way very good for Saturn, but it can also lead to extravagant and lavish spending, living beyond one's means. The tens and the aces in a way support this, but then again, it can go overboard. And here's Saturn that says, oh, keep things within means, be a bit more conservative, display the positive side of the Queen, rather than going all out and actually then not knowing where your next money comes from. Again, this placement teaches them to mature through responsibility, especially when it comes to how they handle money, influence, or status. They may be tested in how they define worth, whether their own or others. And here's a great opportunity to become a role model of grounded abundance. Grounded, there's Saturn, there's the order, the structure, the boundaries, the more conservative approach. But within that conservative approach, there can be abundance. As Nassim Haramein once said, within finite boundaries, there's an infinite potential for expansion. Everything is finite, but within that finity, there's infinite place for creation, for expansion to take place, because that is completely undefined. But what is often defined are the boundaries, are the borders, are the structures and the orders, but within that, the mind is free. And that's what the Queen of Diamonds in Saturn can use. Be of service to others, be abundant, develop that abundance mindset, but do it within boundaries. And then we come to the Five of Hearts in Uranus, and there's the emotional adventurer. There's a restless card in a rather unpredictable position. And that shows us, and once again, fives are more on the selfish side. So we've got 2 10s, we've got 2 aces, and we've got a 5. And you begin to see the picture of what a 10 of Hearts card can look like on the negative side, unless they find balance, unless they really sort of turn towards others, tone down their own light without extinguishing it, but letting other people shine, keeping other people in consideration, rather than saying, it's me, myself, and I, 10, 10, ace, ace, and a 5, and the Queen of Diamonds not really helping either here on the negative side. So the heart brings restlessness, change, emotional freedom into their life path, especially how they approach relationships. It's all about reinventing love, different expressions of connection, questioning tradition, because that's what Uranus is, sort of breaking up things, the things that Saturn has created. And now with that 5 energy, there's an energy of change, of innovation coming in, very strong, innovative spirit. And once again here, what may sound a little bit negative can be used very, very positively, because that 5 of Hearts energy in Uranus being related to Aquarian age. So there's a new way of loving. This is the call in a way for that 10 of Hearts, not to get stuck in their own power games and manifestation games, but also consider, because Uranus kicks in at 65 and their later years, but obviously that energy is present throughout their life, that they reinvent relationships, that they approach relationships from a new and a fresh angle. 5, the exploration under Uranus on the or in the area of relationships. And it said they're wired to reinvent love, to explore different expression of connections. We had this. It doesn't mean that they're unreliable, but it means they need room to breathe, to evolve, and feel alive. Their greatest breakthroughs come when they stop clinging to what love should look like, and when they start honoring what love can become. In their unpredictability lies their genius. So they can combine this and really make the best of it, once again, for others, because they deliver and can come up with tremendous value in terms of relationships. 10 of Hearts birth card, Ace of Hearts as a Mars card, 5 of Hearts as a Uranus card. So there's a lot of emotional power there, emotional innovation, emotional selfishness on the negative side. But once they realize that also with that 8 of Spades and Venus, they're not exactly satisfied and content in their relationships, in their personal relationships, they tone down and then they open up to others and they uplift others. And that's when they start to really shine. And that's when their life path takes a completely different turn. And that is then reinforced, in fact, by the Three of Clubs in Neptune. That is their vision of the future is imaginative, playful, and always in motion. The Three of Clubs is the author's card, the card of the written and the spoken word. They can combine this under Neptune with great ideas and great visions, and they could even use that to author things of their life path, just as much as I'm doing this in a very, very minute way here by explaining what that 10 of Hearts life path looks like and the challenges that come with it. So Neptune can blur those ideas, so they have to be grounded once again, because Neptune is like, whoa, way out, and Clubs is, whoa, way out, very mental. 3 is about creation, but about diversity again. So that card itself, Three of Clubs, lacks grounding, and under Neptune even more so. So once again, a reminder, order and structure, but then again, let your mind roam wide and wild and dream up the big ideas and convey those ideas. That's the Three of Clubs, not necessarily in a book form, but convey those ideas to others, because once again, that would be the most perfect manifestation of the energies that the 10 of Hearts life cards embody. There is then finally the Three of Spades in Pluto, and Three of Spades, after all those strong cards, Three of Spades is a very volatile card. It's the actor's card. And here is the influence of Pluto again, ego, death, and transformation, deepest transformation, the area where they are asked to evolve through pressure. And the Three of Spades says you can't keep compartmentalizing. Life is like a juggling act, work versus purpose, role versus identity. But Pluto wants integration. Pluto wants the real transformation, the actual work being done, and not just thought of, but actually being done. And if one obviously resists that Plutonian urge to transform and become more creative in many ways, especially on the lifestyle side, that's the spade suit, and the 3 bringing in all that creative growth and expansion energy. If the 10 of Hearts fails in that, then it will reap the consequences that I alluded to a little early on. I'm not sure if that makes perfect sense even to my mind yet with that Three of Spades. The Three of Clubs in Neptune, very much so. Three of Spades, once again, the actor's card is related to the Three of Clubs by the 3, but in Pluto, you could say that there is a worry of a 10 of Hearts of not having enough wisdom on one side, not having enough work, maybe not enough possibilities to make money, to create more values, because the Three of Spades worries about not having enough on the lifestyle side, and lifestyle means work, health, etc. So there could be like a compromised element in here on Pluto that keeps reminding the 10 of Hearts, sort of step down, don't be too forceful, don't be too aggressive, don't be too forward, don't be too self-centered in your forwardness, but consider others, consider the opinions of others, step back, slow down, tone down without taking anything away from you. Let's see. The more you resist the merging of your talents, the more chaotic it feels. But when you own your multiplicity and find a rhythm between all that you are, you become unstoppable. Transformation lies in wholeness. That's a lovely sentence, actually. Transformation lies in wholeness. And that Three of Spades is like all over the place and hasn't really managed to integrate things, because that's not exactly its role. But that's the role for the 10 of Hearts with the Three of Spades as a Pluto card. Finally, in closing, the Ten of Hearts soul is learning to be a beacon of love without losing itself in the process. These planetary energies bring with a path full of both emotional power and responsibility that comes with it. There's the power, there's responsibility. Always they go hand in hand. And it's not just, they're not just here to love big, but they're here to love wisely. And when their heart and their purpose align, they truly become a light that nourishes others. Lovely summary of what I was just alluding to, going through each individual planetary card. I hope you like this. Once again, if you did, feel free to leave a like if you are a Ten of Hearts, because we are now approaching a territory where there are more birthdays. And the Ten of Hearts is, for instance, the 29th of August and the 31st of July and the 27th of September and the 25th of October and the 23rd of November and the 21st of December. So these are the birthdays for that Ten of Hearts. If you know of someone, please send them this video. Maybe sort of compare what I said with how you know them, because that always helps. And if there's anything new, anything that I've forgotten, please leave me a comment. Feel free to do so. And that obviously applies to all the other videos that I have created in this series too, because together we enrich ourselves, together we create more, develop more understanding, and through the understanding we develop power, and we develop harmony, and we develop abundance, we develop health in all possible areas. Until the lovely fixed card, the Jack of Hearts, I remain with peace and blessings and say goodbye.